What's up? It's a snow day today. It's really cold outside, and it's a really good day for a really big tattoo. So we're gonna get started on this, and I appreciate you for joining me.
Yeah, awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Alright. So hopefully this is big enough. I just did it on like 2 sheets, basically. Sweet. Thought so. I think that's good. Pretty good size like that. That'll wrap across in the bottom like we talked about and everything.
Awesome. Okay.
What do you think? That's big enough?
Yeah, that's big enough for sure.
Okay, cool. I was gonna say I could probably try to get a little more size out of it, but I think
that's perfect. It doesn't need to be too big, so it's
then
gaudy.
we'll leave this, and we'll leave this like that. We'll leave it open, and then
it'll like tie into like what you got. I don't know, because you had some coming way up here.
Right, it could still come
tie into it, basically.
You got, yeah. Alright, I'm trying to get this planted the first time. We'll see what happens. Go like that first. Oh, you got a lot of tattoos, so it's nothing new to you.
I've never done one this like long though.
Yeah.
Like all my tattoos have been like an hour or less.
Oh, okay.
To do, so this will be interesting.
Sick, yeah. Well, I'm glad you chose me for that. I think that's like the right way to go, Okay, so I kind of want to leave this top part slightly open-ended. What do you think?
Yeah, I like it.
I think it looks pretty sweet.
Excellent.
We'll let it dry on for a minute then.
Okay, cool.
Then,
Can you get going?
Yeah.
I always find my best tattoo clients through being just consistent and creating content and connecting online with them and making sure that I'm not just putting up stuff and not answering whenever people leave a comment or say something nice to me. It's all about networking and planting seeds throughout your career. I tattooed this client, Desiree, over 7 years ago, or maybe a little less, when I first moved out to the area that I live in now. And, I gave a good experience. I did the best tattoo I could do back then. And ever since then, she's just been watching my art and seeing me grow. And I think that's a big part of it. That's a big part of being consistent and just letting people see your experience and your journey, because they're not going to maybe pull the trigger again right away, but it might be years later whenever they come back from getting a small tattoo, and now they're going to get a huge project from you because they see what you're capable of now. So you can't be afraid to share who you are and share your art and your style and your influence and everything that you're doing, because otherwise people aren't going to see and nobody's going to notice you.
I feel like a lot of people though try to tattoo.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't.
Yeah, they care of what.
Right, like I don't know how many times there's been like people who are not professionals in any way. You're like, hey, tattoo party at my house, blah, blah, blah. Like, dude, no.
That's always bad, when it's a tattoo party for some reason.
Yeah, you're all getting drunk and
yeah.
And you're gonna tattoo all these people.
Right, I've never been to one where I'm like, super impressed by the artists and stuff either, usually. I've went and done one maybe once or twice, like way early on. It's always, I think it's something you do when you're first starting, Like,
yeah.
trying to build clients and stuff, make it convenient as possible for people.
See, it's been a long time since I talked to this client, so my price is probably over double by now. And the art and the experience, though, are also twice as valuable now. And that's what you got to make sure, is that if you're increasing your price over time, that you're also increasing your value, because people aren't going to keep paying more if they're not getting more out of it. A couple of ways that I increase value is by actually doing less tattoos every year. Basically, for the last couple of years, I've done less and less tattoos so that I could focus on bigger projects, less people, and put more energy into each individual that I'm working with. Also include things like not just using the best products that I can buy, but including like Aftercare at the end. I've been using something called NextCare. It's like a spray for people whenever you maybe scrape your knee or something like that. It's like a liquid bandage, polymer bandage that lasts for a few days and then comes off naturally. That you just use moisturizer and wash it a couple times a day, and it makes it super simple. And just doing those little extra things like adding in like a care for when they leave instead of just wrapping it in a piece of plastic and giving them some petroleum product to slather on it. It makes people happier about their purchase, and they know that you care when they walk out of the door just as much as they care, because they have to live with it forever, and you should care about that. You shouldn't just do something and be like, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. It should be about actually providing a long-term relationship and experience with these people, because they're going to come back to you time and time again. You don't want a one-time client. You want somebody that's going to come back and then bring their friend and their mom and everybody. You want like a big network out of this person, not just a one-time experience.
Like you get a big chunk in there and then kind of start coloring it. Crazy projects over long periods of time. So.
Oh, I got a whole list of things.
Yeah.
When I met with this client for our consultation, she actually had a reference printed on a piece of paper that had been folded up in her purse for years, I guess since the first time that we met. So it'd been in there about 7 years or so. And it looked like it too. It was kind of cool though that somebody had something that they had been sitting on that long, and that she was that dedicated to getting this tattoo. I always tell people, like, put the idea of your tattoo as your screensaver for a while so that you don't, like, regret getting it. You'll see it every day, and if you end up getting tired of it on your phone, you're definitely going to get tired of it on your skin. But she kind of had a similar thing in just having it printed and putting it in her purse and, always coming across it and remembering, oh, yeah, I want to get this thing tattooed. And she actually has a bunch of cool references like that, just printed and sitting in her purse waiting to get tattooed, which I find awesome because it's like something that's always in the back of her head, and it's a time to kind of celebrate each time she gets tattooed. It's like a big deal and something she's been looking forward to for a long time. So it's a big deal to me too, and something I look forward to too whenever it's like that for my clients, like that for me. And I also really prefer when they come in with references that aren't necessarily tattoos. A lot of times people will come in with pictures of somebody else's tattoo, and that's how they got their idea, was looking at someone's tattoo. But sometimes it's cool just to have a picture of a piece of art or a drawing or sketch or something else that isn't already tattooed, but it's just an idea, and it's just the beginning of the process. It's not like a finalized idea, so that way I could be more creative with it and have more fun with it. One of the downfalls of doing really big tattoos in one day is that they're never like really reaching their max potential, because it's just one sitting. It's 6 hours long. I could always do more stuff to it, and like for this tattoo I would have loved to like embellish on the background more and stuff, but you've already gone over someone's whole back, and there's a lot of hours, a lot of pain to go through. So back in the day when I learned from my mentor, she had told me like her method was to get people the outline and the background first, and then they come back and get the character, the main part of the image, finished later on. And that was like a technique for her to be able to finish the whole tattoo. But I don't know, my personal experience, I've had people, get the outline and the background and then not show back up for years sometimes, or months, and I think it's just something that I like having a flow of things to where I'm pretty much done at the end of the day, and we could always add a little bit to it, because I'd rather not risk like having my work walk around unfinished for a super long time, and I'd rather just finish it and have a little more potential that I could reap out of it, but just put like as much into it in a day as possible, but only so much as possible in a day. And I'm really actually proud of how much I did get done on this tattoo in one day. And I think it's interesting, too, just to share my process with you, even if it's not, like, always, like, the whole project is finished in one day or something like that, or, like, there could be more added to it. This is, like, an honest representation of my life and my work, like, this isn't always something that can be just done in one episode or something too, you know. So I think it's important to be realistic like that, especially if you're taking on like a large back piece or something that you can get 6 hours done and it'll look badass, but you know, you could get another 6 hours done on it and it'll look crazy amazing, like magazine worthy, you know. But not every tattoo is like that. Sometimes there's simpler stuff. And I've done black and gray tattoos on like a big skull on a guy's back once, and that was totally different, you know. Just doing one big black and gray image is a lot different than saturating a bunch of color. So each tattoo is different, and maybe it has a different approach and a different time length to it. But I think it's just fun to share my experience with you guys and show you, you know, how I approach everything when it comes. So I'm going to keep doing that. The reason, too, that I usually stop at about 6 hours of tattooing is not just because of the pain from the person. It starts to get into the point where it becomes painful for me, too, honestly. But also, like, start to get less focused over time. And, you know, some people are really good at just sticking to the job for 10 hours even. I've seen guys do crazy sessions, but I find that my optimal time range is like 5 to 6 hours at max. And I do quite a bit of work in that time. I use big needle sets, and I have a really good plan. I figured that's really like the big part of it too, is having a solid blueprint to work with and know like where you're going, where you're starting, and where you're ending is going to be the biggest thing with getting a lot done in one day too.
We're looking pretty good.
Yeah, it's coming along.
Yeah.
That's why I always come up with a really good digital plan first. I make it up on my tablet, and then I even a lot of times will like draw out like a mock version of the person's like body on the section it's going, and try to fit it up like onto that section of a body. And then I make like a really solid stencil out of it, and that's pretty hard sometimes when you're doing like a really big tattoo to compile a stencil and get it all matching up perfectly together, and then to get everything stamped on to such a big portion of skin without contorting the image or messing it up too much or smudging anything. So that's a whole process and ability in itself, and a skill set in itself too. So it's something that takes a lot of practice. Also, you can kind of like figure out like ways to just get the stencil on there, but if you drew the piece, like you don't need the stencil as much, so you can kind of figure out where pieces that didn't land properly, or if something got messed up on the stencil, you can kind of draw in these sections and use your experience to make it all work. I've changed up my aftercare routine a few times over the years. I've been tattooing about 10 years, and recently I found my best routine yet is just using this stuff. It's called NextCare. It's a spray bandage that uses polymer to bandage the skin temporarily, and then that flakes off over the first 2 to 3 days, and all you have to do is keep it clean and moisturize the tattoo from there. So basically skips that step where it's all gooey and nasty and you're putting petroleum on it and leaking blood and white blood cells and stuff like that, and it becomes like a biohazard. A lot of tattoo artists send their clients out with just a plastic wrapped around their tattoo, and you know, I did that in the past too. So this bandage seals things in, and it doesn't allow anything to go into the tattoo or leave the tattoo, and I think that's our best bet. I don't know anybody that really has any reactions to polymer and stuff, so, and these bandages is a really simple bandage, so I haven't had any issues. Been using it like 9 months, spray it on, and then person just keeps it clean and moisturizes it, and the tattoo seems to heal up really well that way. If you're interested in getting a large scale tattoo, you have an interesting idea, you like my style, then the best way to get started is by just going to my website, www.irontigerbooking.com, and you can fill out a request form, and then we're just going to get back to you and set up a consultation. That way we can meet in person. I seem to just communicate the best one-on-one, and that's where we could just go over your idea and talk about everything that it's going to take, and if it's a cover-up, look at the old tattoo and everything that goes along with the tattoo we could figure out in that time. So appreciate you watching this video. Please follow me on social media and subscribe to me on YouTube, and I will see you next time.
This stuff is made for like scrapes and like if you scrape your knee or something, you know what I mean, like a small cut or something. So it's really like gentle. It's really chill. It falls right off. Basically, just meant to stay on for like a day or two, which is really good. I feel like for tattooing because you know those first couple of days are like the biggest risk for infection or any kind of issues with healing.
Right.
So this kind of prevents any of those issues because it doesn't let anything into the wound and it doesn't let anything out. So you're not going to lose any ink in your sheets and stuff. After like 2 days, it'll start flaking off. Just start using like a lotion at that point, basically. Or you could grab some from us if you want. I got some stuff I make too.
See you next time on Iron Tiger Experience. Brought to you by pigmentpop.com.